Retiring by 50. For most people, it sounds like a fantasy, something reserved for tech founders, lottery winners, or people who inherited a fortune. But here's the truth that almost nobody tells you. Retiring by 50 is not about luck, and it's not about a huge salary. It's about math, a system, and a head start. And the wildest part, you can begin from zero. No savings, no investments, nothing. Starting from a completely blank slate. Now, I want to be honest with you up front because this channel doesn't deal in hype. Retiring by 50 starting from zero is hard. It requires discipline that most people aren't willing to commit to. But it is absolutely possible, and the path is clearer and more achievable than you think. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how early retirement works, the one number that determines everything, the savings rate you'll need, and a realistic step-by-step plan to get there, even if you're starting today with nothing. Let's break it down. What retire by 50 actually means? First, let's define what we're actually talking about, because retirement doesn't mean what most people assume. Retiring early doesn't necessarily mean never working again. It means reaching the point where work becomes optional, where your investments generate enough income to cover your living expenses, so you no longer have to trade your time for money. You might still choose to work on a passion project, a business, part-time, whatever, but you don't have to. That's the real definition of financial independence, and it's the foundation of what people call the FIRE movement. Financial independence, retire early. The entire goal of retiring by 50 is to build a pool of invested money large enough that it can sustain you for the rest of your life without you adding another dollar to it. Once you hit that number, you're free, and that brings us to the single most important concept in early retirement. The one number that determines everything, there's one number that determines whether you can retire at any age. It's called your FIRE number, the amount of invested money you need to be financially independent. And there's a beautifully simple way to estimate it. It's based on something called the 4% rule. Here's how it works. Decades of research into market history found that if you withdraw about 4% of your invested portfolio in your first year of retirement, and then adjust that amount for inflation each year after, your money has a very high probability of lasting 30 years or more. The portfolio keeps growing and generating returns, so you're mostly living off the growth rather than draining the principal. So to find your FIRE number, you take your annual expenses and multiply them by 25. That's it, 25 times your yearly spending. Let me make that concrete. If you can live on $40,000 a year, your FIRE number is $1 million. If you need $60,000 a year, it's 1.5 million. If you can live on 30,000, it's 750,000. Notice something powerful here. Your FIRE number isn't based on how much you earn. It's based on how much you spend, which means the less you need to live on, the less you need to retire. This is the first big secret of early retirement. Controlling your expenses doesn't just help you save more, it actually lowers the finish line itself. It works on both ends at once. The savings rate. The real engine. Now here's the concept that separates early retirement from regular retirement. It's not your income, it's not even your investment returns, it's your savings rate, the percentage of your take-home pay that you save and invest. Most financial advice tells people to save 10 to 15% of their income. At that rate, you're looking at a traditional retirement in your mid-60s. That's fine for many people, but it will not get you to 50. To retire early, you need to dramatically increase your savings rate, and the relationship between your savings rate and your timeline is stunning. If you save 15% of your income, it takes roughly 43 years to reach financial independence. If you save 30%, it drops to about 28 years. If you save 50%, it drops to about 17 years. If you save 65%, you can get there in roughly 10 to 11 years. Look at what's happening. Every increase in your savings rate doesn't just add a little, it slashes years off your timeline. This is because a higher savings rate does two things simultaneously. It gives you more money to invest, and it lowers the lifestyle you need to maintain, which lowers your FIRE number. Both forces pull your retirement date closer at the same time. So if you're starting from zero and you want to retire by 50, the question becomes, how many years do you have and what savings rate gets you there? If you're 30, you have 20 years, which means a savings rate somewhere around 40 to 45% can realistically do it. If you're 35, you have 15 years, and you'll need to push toward 50% or more. The earlier you start, the gentler the climb. Step 1, know your numbers cold. Starting from zero means the first step isn't investing, it's awareness. You cannot build a savings rate of 40 or 50% if you don't know exactly where your money goes. So step 1 is to track everything. Pull up the last 3 months of your spending and categorize all of it: housing, transportation, food, insurance, subscriptions, entertainment, everything. Most people who do this for the first time are genuinely shocked by what they find. Hundreds of dollars a month leaking out in ways they never noticed. Then calculate two numbers: your annual expenses, which gives you your FIRE number when you multiply by 25, and your current savings rate. What percentage of your take-home pay you're actually keeping right now? These two numbers are your starting coordinates. You can't plan a route without knowing where you're standing. This step isn't glamorous, but it's the foundation everything else is built on. Budgeting is the unglamorous engine of early retirement, and the people who skip it almost never make it. Step 2, attack the big three expenses. To hit an aggressive savings rate, you can't just cancel a few subscriptions and call it a day. You have to go after the three expenses that dominate almost everyone's budget: housing, transportation, and food. Together, these usually make up 60 to 70% of total spending, which means they're where the real leverage is. Housing is the biggest lever of all. If you can reduce your housing cost through a smaller place, a roommate, relocating to a cheaper area, or house hacking where you rent out part of your home, you can often free up several hundred to over $1,000 a month. Nothing else moves your savings rate as fast. Transportation is next. A large car payment can quietly destroy an early retirement plan. Driving a reliable, modest, paid-off vehicle instead of financing an expensive one can free up hundreds a month, every month for years. Food is the third. Cutting back on delivery and dining out, cooking more at home, and planning meals can easily save a few $100s a month without much sacrifice once it becomes a habit. The early retirement crowd has a saying: you don't need to be cheap, you need to be intentional. The goal isn't a miserable life of deprivation. It's cutting hard on the things you don't truly care about so you can fund the freedom you care about deeply. Step 3, increase your income. There's a ceiling on how much you can cut. You can only reduce your expenses so far, but there's no ceiling on how much you can earn. And when you're starting from zero with a goal of retiring by 50, growing your income is rocket fuel. Here's why it's so powerful for early retirement specifically. If you increase your income but keep your lifestyle the same, every extra dollar goes straight into your savings rate. Someone who gets a raise and doesn't inflate their spending can watch their savings rate jump from 30% to 45% almost overnight. So pursue the raise. Develop skills that make you more valuable. Change jobs if that's what it takes. Switching employers is often the fastest way to a significant pay bump. Build a side income through freelancing, a small business, or selling a skill you already have. And critically, when your income rises, do not let your spending rise with it. That discipline is the difference between earning more and actually retiring early. The combination of cutting the big three expenses and growing your income is what makes a 40 to 50% savings rate possible on a normal salary. Neither alone is usually enough. Together, they're transformative. Step 4, invest the gap relentlessly. Now we get to where the magic happens. The gap between what you earn and what you spend, and that's your savings. And that money needs to be invested, not sitting in a bank account losing value to inflation. For early retirement, the approach is the same proven strategy that works for everyone: low-cost, broad market index funds. You buy a total stock market or S&P 500 index fund, and you do it consistently, every single month automatically. Use tax-advantaged accounts as much as possible. Max out a 401k, especially if there's an employer match. That's free money accelerating your timeline. Max out a Roth IRA for tax-free growth. And because you're retiring before traditional retirement age, you'll also want a regular taxable brokerage account, since that money is accessible at any age without early withdrawal penalties. Early retirees often build a mix, using retirement accounts for the long haul and a taxable account as a bridge for the years between 50 and traditional retirement age. Then you let compounding do what it does. Remember, the money you invest in your early years has the longest time to grow. Even starting from zero, aggressive investing over 15 to 20 years produces results that feel almost unbelievable, because the later years of compounding generate enormous growth. Your job is simply to keep feeding the machine and not interrupt it. The realistic timeline from zero, let's put real numbers on this so it's not abstract. Imagine someone starting at age 30 from zero with a take-home income of $60,000 a year. They get serious. Through cutting the big three expenses and growing their income, they push their savings rate to 50%, saving and investing $30,000 a year, living on the other $30,000. Living on $30,000 a year means their FIRE number is $750,000, 30,000 times 25. Investing $30,000 a year at an 8% average return They reach that $750,000 mark in approximately 15 years, which puts them at financial independence at age 45, 5 years ahead of the goal. Now imagine they could only manage a 40% savings rate. The timeline stretches to around 19 years, landing them at 49, still retired by 50, starting from absolutely nothing at 30. These aren't fantasy numbers, they're the direct result of a high savings rate, consistent investing, and time. The math is demanding, but it is not magic. It's available to anyone willing to commit to the system. The obstacles. Nobody warns you about, and I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't talk about the real challenges because they're what stop most people. The first is lifestyle inflation. As you earn more, the temptation to spend more is relentless. The single most important discipline in early retirement is keeping your lifestyle flat even as your income grows. The people who fail almost always fail here. The second is impatience. This is a 15 to 20-year journey. There will be years where progress feels slow and the market does nothing or even drops. Most people quit during these stretches. The ones who succeed treat early retirement as a marathon and simply refuse to stop, especially when it's hard. The third is life happening. Job losses, medical issues, family needs. Life will throw things at you over 2 decades. The answer isn't to give up when it does. It's to build a real emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses early on, so a setback pauses your progress. Instead of ending it, you adjust, you recover, you keep going. And the fourth is the social pressure. While your friends are upgrading cars and houses, you're driving something modest and living below your means on purpose. That takes a quiet confidence. But remember what you're buying with that discipline. You're buying decades of your life back. That's a trade worth making. The bottom line. Here's the bottom line on retiring by 50, starting from zero. It comes down to a simple but demanding formula. Figure out your FIRE number by multiplying your annual expenses by 25. Drive your savings rate as high as you can, ideally 40 to 50% or more, by cutting your big 3 expenses and growing your income. Invest that gap relentlessly into low-cost index funds inside tax-advantaged accounts, and then stay consistent for 15 to 20 years, while compounding does the heavy lifting. The reason most people never retire early isn't that they can't do the math, it's that they aren't willing to live differently than everyone around them. Early retirement is, more than anything, a lifestyle choice disguised as a financial strategy. You're choosing freedom later over comfort now. And here's the encouraging part. Even if you don't hit exactly 50, even if you start late or life slows you down and you reach financial independence at 52 or 55, you'll still have retired 10 to 15 years before almost everyone you know. There's no failure in this plan. There's only how far ahead of the traditional path you end up. Starting from zero is not a disadvantage. It's just the starting line. Everyone who has ever retired early started somewhere, and most of them started with nothing but a decision. You can make that same decision today. If this video gave you a real path toward early retirement, do me a favor and subscribe. Net Worth Nation is built for people who are done believing financial freedom is only for the lucky few, and ready to build it deliberately, starting from wherever they are right now. Drop a comment below. What's your FIRE number and what age are you aiming to reach it? Run the math, annual expenses times 25, and share it. The people who put it in writing are far more likely to actually get there. And if you know someone who thinks early retirement is impossible for regular people, share this video with them. The math might change the entire course of their life. You can do this. 1 year, one investment, one decision at a time. I'll see you in the next one. Let's build.